AmandaLand. We up. Thiago!
Hey, Amanda. So happy to be here. You do
Thiago,
such an amazing work. I'm so honored to be here with you.
Oh, same. Thank you. And I'm so happy that you're here with us safely. Thiago Ávila, remind me, Thiago, were you on the first flotilla as well?
I was on the
feel like you were
Medellin mission. On the Handala, was supporting as crew, as participants, as ground crew.
Okay. So you've been a part of this entire flotilla situation. So, okay, first and foremost, please tell me how you got involved with the Freedom Flotillas and why you guys set sail in the first place. For those who don't know, let's set the stage.
Okay, Amanda. So I'm from Brazil. I'm 38 years old. I'm an internationalist environmentalist in Brazil, and I have my social media platform, YouTube channel, and I've been dedicated to the Palestinian cause for 20 years. That's when I became an activist in general. I'm a radical leftist activist in Brazil, and I always connected all the struggles against exploitation, oppression, and destruction of nature throughout the world, because the same system that enables the kind of inequality that exists in Brazil, in the United States, is the same system that generates the situation of the genocide of the Palestinian people. So for 20 years, I've been understanding what imperialism is, what is capitalism, neoliberalism, and the Palestinian cause was always one that shocked me the most, because I could not even believe that such violations could exist these days. I live in the global south, so we have a very colonized education.
Yeah.
So we are taught to learn, Amanda, the neighborhoods of New York through the TV shows, for example, and the rivers of Europe. And we don't hear anything about our own brothers here. I'm from Brazil. We don't hear anything about Bolivia, Peru, Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, and any other countries. So that shocked me so much when I was 18 years old. And I said, look, I know everything about the US cultural industry, and I don't know anything about my own brothers, about the indigenous territories, about the campesino struggles that happen here as well. So I said, I don't want to be like this. I want to understand what's going on really with the world and at the margins of the system, at the peripheries of the system. And so the Palestinian cause always attracted me so much as well, because I could see that the same type of violation happened there, but at a much larger scale. So in the end, I started dedicating myself to the Palestinian solidarity movement. And I heard in 2010 that there were people planning to go on boats to break the siege. And I applied by email. I was only 23 years old by then. And then they said, you can come, but you have to pay for your ticket. And then it blew off the entire dream for me.
Right.
The global south, it was like impossible to pay a ticket. And then that mission was attacked, Amanda, and they killed 10 people. The Israeli soldiers killed 10 people on that mission. And that really changed for me, because I could see that a non-violent humanitarian mission could be killed by Israel and nothing will happen to them. And then many years later, I eventually managed finally to go to Palestine. I've been to the West Bank, to the occupied territories. I've been to the borders of Gaza, and I could not even imagine that violations could be that big. I read so many times. I would do courses, I would write articles about Palestine, but you see that in real life, it's much different. To go into the checkpoints at the tip of the rifle, for example, it's so sad to see. And then after October 2023, this huge global uprising started. And then I finally got in touch again with the flotilla, and it was planning a mission to leave from Istanbul with 3 big boats in April last year. But these boats got blocked by bureaucratic warfare. But then I kept on mobilizing.
Wait. Bureaucratic warfare.
Yes.
Tell us, what is bureaucratic warfare?
When we see what happened with the Medellin and the Handala, that they managed to stop the boats by force, there are actually many steps further that they're already attacking any mission that we attempt. It's when the boat's still at port, they're pressuring the president of the country or the prime minister, they're pressuring the governor of the state, of the province, they're pressuring the mayor, they're pressuring the port authorities, they're pressuring the Coast Guard, they're pressuring pretty much everyone. So they're pressuring the insurance companies that provide insurance for the boats, they're pressuring the nation states that provide the registry and flags for our boats. So if any of these people decide to stop our mission, they simply create a bureaucratic warfare, some type of paper that we don't have. They say that we don't pass certain inspection. They revoke our flag, revoke our insurance, and the boat simply cannot go. So we had that in Istanbul last year, that we had 1,000 people from 30 different countries with 3 big boats, 5,500 tons of aid, and we were stuck at port. We simply could not sail. And this was so frustrating that we decided that we would dedicate so much energy to continue. And then we tried to go with the Handala last year, but the engine broke. And so we got frustrated. We didn't manage to go. And then we trying to go with another boat, the Conscience. But then Israel bombed the boat between Malta and Italy, like 3.5 months ago. And then we only had the Madeline, the smallest boat that we ever had, only fit 12 people, just a short amount of aid, but we said we're going anyway. And then we went, but that happened is that since it was such a small boat, it managed to escape the bureaucratic warfare. We actually managed to sail. And once we sailed, then that huge effect came of the support, and people got so inspired by it and helped to mobilize and put what it should do, because it's not about us, it's about the Palestinian cause. So whenever we are on a mission, we try to say, people say, oh, you're so brave. And we say, yeah, okay, demands courage to do a mission like this, but nothing compared to what's going on in Gaza, to the courage that the Palestinian people has. And then we got arrested, violently intercepted, and then we got taken to prison. I went to solitary confinement, and then people say, oh, conditions was very bad. And I said, yes, it was bad, but it's nothing compared to 10,000 Palestinian prisoners in Israeli dungeons. 400 of them are children. So what we do with a mission like this is that we try to go in a solidarity mission to bring the spotlight to the violations that the Palestinian people have been suffering, not right now, not for 22 months, but for 8 decades of genocide and ethnic cleansing that structured itself into an apartheid colonial state, and which is led not by a religion, Amanda, but by an ideology, which is Zionism, which is racist and supremacist on its origin. So that's what we're trying to defeat here. So that's why we continue with the boat missions, despite the fact that they intercept. And now we have the biggest mission ever. And I'm so glad and so excited to be talking about this. I'm on my last 24 hours in Brazil, actually, before going to the mission to prepare everything.
Well, let me just tell you, you have mastered your media training, because y'all, I didn't have to say anything. It was just right there. So you're in your last 24 hours. What have you had to do personally to prepare for this next global Sumud Flotilla?
Like any mission, we need to bring all of our belongings, but we need to understand that we only bring belongings that we are willing to lose, because in many missions, the Israeli soldiers, they steal everything that the person has. So we need to bring burner phones, we need to bring clothes that we don't care about losing, we need to bring medicine, for not only for us but also for donation. We need to bring pretty much everything that we can take for a 2-week, maybe 3-week journey at sea. And we need to bring our Palestinian t-shirts, Palestinian flags, the flags of our home countries as well, in my case the flag from Brazil. And yes, we bring a lot of energy, to be honest. The preparation of the backpack is not the most important, because people can go in pretty much any condition. But the reason
I ask these kinds of questions is because there's a certain practicality to taking part in these types of experiences, right? And I think when someone sees someone like you, they may say to themselves, well, you know, he can go because he's a master boatsman, or because he's an organizer and he's an experienced, activist, etc. And they immediately separate themselves from feeling like they can be a part of these types of movements or creating their own movements. And so sometimes I think it's important to just kind of discuss like the basic efforts to go, because I think it helps ground it for people in just the simplicity of what they may feel like is beyond them. Like you just named a very basic.
You're absolutely right, Amanda, because in the end, most of the people that goes on a mission like this, they're going on the very first mission and they don't know anything. And to be honest, pretty much every activist is thinking like they are beneath what is necessary for this type of mission. So it's amazing how much the new liberal ideology makes people feel that they don't have the power to change anything. They only are there to sell their workforce and to consume and to compete. So they don't think they have the historical duty and the historical ability to change what's going on, to change the structure of society.
You just said the liberal ideology. Can you talk more about that? Because somebody called me a liberal and I was very offended.
Yes. When I talk about neoliberal ideology, is the idea that this come at the end of the 80s, pretty much at 70 to the 80s, and they created this economic system that brings the idea of diminishing that part of state activists in economy, for example, but also bring a lot of new behaviors in society. So people need to accumulate more material goods. They need to speculate in the financial market. They need to create and change the view of success and abundance on people. So now you don't feel successful and abundant in your life if you have love and you have the respect of your community, but if you have material goods and stuff. So like hyper capitalism going all the way. And so they bring this to the individual level as well. They say that you are nothing if you don't consume. They say do this through advertising and through the cultural industry as well. So people start to thinking that only way of finding success in this life is through consumption, through competition, through individual behaviors, when actually it's unachievable for the vast majority of the people on the system. So we try to change the patterns. And when we say we go against neoliberal ideology in the idea of success and abundance, is that for us to be in our community with the way of life of our community, in their good way of living, of that every originary culture and people they have, it's a much better way to find abundance and in harmony with nature, in harmony with your community, without competition, much more based on cooperation. So that's what we try to defeat when we talk about this new liberal ideology. I don't think you're liberal at all.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate that. So tell me about the Sumud Flotilla and how it's different, and what the plan is, or however much you can tell us.
Yes. So what happened is that Israel has been intercepting our missions, the last two missions that were very, very public, the Handala and the Medellin. And people were saying, look, the problem is that we are going in just with one boat. If we had more boats, we could change this. We could maybe be in a different situation. But the problem is that getting boats is very, very hard. So we were trying for a long time to get more boats. And now we finally did. So
what makes it very hard? Just people not wanting to volunteer their boats? Is it that basic?
It's never the volunteers. They're always dozens of thousands of people willing to go on the boats.
But
it's always the structure.
Bureaucracy.
Yes, it's have the boats prepared. They need to have their flagging. They need to have their insurance. They need to
actually.
Be
can you tell me about the flagging thing, because that was something I was learning about. What is the situation with the flag? Because it didn't like Malta take their flag back or something on a boat.
Yes. We had so many histories of Israel actually trying to stop our mission, and they do this using third countries, that they ask for a third country, they pressure the country to revoke the registry of a boat, because every boat, Amanda, that wants to sail in international waters need to be registered under a certain country and use a specific flag on top. Okay. So if you have this registry, you have the right to use this flag on top. If they cancel the registry, you have no flag. Therefore, you're sailing stateless in international waters. Is that like
a pirate? Is that what makes somebody a pirate?
Yes, and then you have a lot of difficulty to dock anywhere else, to get assistance, to bring anyone on board. So you'll be brought into illegality in a certain way.
Yes.
So what they did on a boat that was bombed 3 months ago, the Conscience, is that Israel pressured the government of Palau to revoke the registry when the boat was on the water, in international waters, which is very, very weird to think, because where would this boat dock if they revoke the registry?
Right.
So they're doing something very severe. And what happened was even worse. They coordinated with Palau. The Palau revoked the flag, and 6 hours later, they bombed the boat. So the boat was not even registered in any country, because when you register under a certain country, you have the idea that you're protected by that country as well. Because why would Israel bomb a boat under a UK flag, for example, or any other country? So they use this as a tactic, not only to stop the boat through bureaucracy, but also to leave these boats unprotected, to bomb or to attack or to do anything bad. So that's what happens with the flag. That's why we are very concerned about the registry of our boats all the time. So the Sumud Flotilla, right now, we have so many people and so many boats that we have many, many different country flags, that we're going to be putting pressure in many countries at the same time to maintain our flag, not to be complicit with the genocide and to stop a humanitarian mission trying to deliver life-saving aid to Gaza, but also not to be complicit with Israel in any way. The country should be breaking relations with Israel, not obeying them to stop a mission. So right now, we are at the verge of departure of the biggest solidarity mission ever attempted since the siege on Gaza started 18 years ago. So 18 years ago, we started the siege. On the very next year, the first boat mission started to try to get to Gaza. The first 5 missions, they managed to get to Gaza, and all the others 32 missions, they got intercepted. So there were 37 boats that tried to make this journey, and the Handala was boat 37. But the problem is that there was no media broadcast. Internet was very different by then, so most people don't even realize that this mission was
I
happening.
had no idea. Yeah.
Yeah, and right now we finally broke the media blockade, and right now people were finally aware that this is happening. So that's why it's so powerful. But that's why also Israel wants to make an example. So we really need right now to bring all the collective effort, all the visibility, not for the mission itself. Of course, visibility means safety for the people on board, but for the situation of Gaza, because this mission will never be successful if people just manage to get home safe and alive, because we have a political objective, which is to open a humanitarian corridor. So by bringing visibility to this mission, you're bringing visibility to the illegal siege of 18 years and to the dire need to open a humanitarian corridor. That's what we're trying to do. So on August the 31st, we are departing with dozens of boats from Spain that will be joined on September the 4th by dozen more boats from Tunisia and other countries, and we go all together. So this time we're going very, very big. And we're mobilizing in the streets as well at the same time.
And so why has it been easier to get the boats through this time? Because like countries like Spain have ardently decided we're against what's going on.
It's because since the meddling and the Handala mission, people understood that this is a very powerful tactic to use.
Okay.
But it needs collective effort. So now the communities are willing to fundraise and to donate. And there are people with boats that they say, I want to give some meaning and some sense to this boat. And they donate the boats. So it's amazing to see.
Like this boat is just sitting here. Let me put this boat to good use. Got it.
Yes. So it's beautiful to see, Amanda. We're seeing something that's unprecedented in solidarity, international solidarity, because some people that started seeing the worst atrocities that they see on their cell phones every single day, children being starved to death, hospitals being bombed, shelters, schools, homes, they are now also connecting that to their way of life and to the way they consume. They're connecting to their civil liberties in their own country, the right of free speech, the right to access through information, through social media or through the media. So this is becoming something bigger. This global uprising is becoming something bigger. It's becoming not only anti-Zionist because Zionism is committing a genocide, but it's becoming also anti-imperialist and anti-capitalist in so many ways. So this can change the course of history. That's why I'm so excited about it.
We can feel your excitement. Like it's palpable and it's really beautiful, because I feel like so many of us are just so dejected in feeling like what can be done, what can be done, what can be done. You know, like I'm talking to people in Gaza and they're saying, you know, you guys have to do something. You guys have to do something. And for folks in the United States, like there's stuff that's happening right now to them in the United States, right? With the immigration stuff and with DC being occupied, et cetera. So there is so much that is being used as a distraction. And then there's so many folks that are uneducated about these connections that you're saying, that you're talking about. So it's like you're trying to teach people and mobilize people and activate people in like a very short amount of time, like very effectively. And it's doing the work that you guys are doing that I think helps to expedite that.
Yeah, I think we really, there's this person, very important in the history of revolution, which was Frantz Fanon in the independence of Algeria, that he would say that every generation, despite being confused as any generation can be, they have a historical task. And it's the duty of every generation to fulfill it or betray it. And I'm very convinced, Amanda, that our historical duty is to stop this horrific machine of destruction, which is this system that has the genocide in Palestine, the most visible violation, but also promotes so much suffering in the US, in Brazil, in anywhere else, that we need to find a solution. While we still have the possibility of reversing climate disaster, while we still have the possibility of preserving our communities, we need to improve our sense of urgency, because what are we going to do? Are we going to wait until it's right on our next door? And it's in so many people's door already. So what are we waiting for to do this global uprising? What are we waiting for before stopping Trump, before stopping Netanyahu? We really need to rise up.
You guys in the chat, please throw up some of the Frantz Fanon books for people, Wretched of the Earth, Black Skin, White Mask, A Dying Colonialism, etc., so that people can get into that. We're going to take a couple questions and then I'll let you go so that you can get ready because you
Thank you so
have
much.
to head out. So the first question is from Vivenecia 7953, Mr. Avila, does that mean the ships that are going to sail soon are all smaller vessels?
Thank you for bringing that up, Vivi. The idea is to have as many boats as we can. So this brings the structural necessity that they need to be small. We're trying to get some bit bigger ships, but it's not our financial reality. It's not where we're at. So most likely there will be motor sailing boats, just like the AmandaLand. We don't really have that much fuel capacity. So it's good to have a sail as well to take us to Gaza. The wind take us there. So we have this benefit. Most likely smaller boats.
Okay. The next question is from NYX22. Mr. Avila, are you scared for your life and is Brazil protecting you?
Thank you for bringing that up. NYX22. We always discuss this on the boat, Amanda. The people were discussing when we were like 2 days before interception, and people were saying, "Are you scared?" to everyone, and most of the people would say, "No, I'm more scared of not fulfilling our mission, of living our life in vain, of the future that my daughter will live at." So I'm much more concerned for the future generations than for anyone's life. We need to do this. It's our historical duty to do so. So we have a very serious risk assessment. I train our participants in nonviolence direct action, in how they need to behave in case of an interception, for example, to de-escalate stuff. So we take this very, very seriously, but we do not stop for that. Otherwise, what would be the history of humanity if people would stop doing something important because it's dangerous? So we need to understand this danger, work with it, and try to neutralize as many dangers as we can, and try to reduce the impact of the damage that we cannot neutralize, and continue. And Brazil is not protecting me at all. Actually, Brazil didn't break relations with Israel, despite the fact that they kidnapped a Brazilian citizen in the last mission, putting on solitary confinement like they did with me. But Brazil is an ally of the Palestinian cause, and it still has contradictions, but at least on speech, President Lula gives very good speeches denouncing the genocide.
We get it. We understand what you're saying. That was very diplomatic. Okay, last question. This is from Kismet J. Mr. Avila, do you have your own protection this time around, or is the mission primarily nonviolent?
This is very important that Kismet is bringing, because we don't have any individual protection. The protection that we have is the visibility, the pressure, the political pressure. We always say when we are training our activists that are going on the mission that if Israel wants, and they can bomb and kill every single person on these boats. The reason why they don't do is not because they don't want, it's because they cannot afford the price, the political cost that it has. So we need to make this mission as visible as we can, as to make as much political pressure as we can. And also depends on the last part of your question, Kismet, that our own conduct is also very important, that we remain nonviolent at all costs in this type of mission. So we train our people that even if you're being brutally assaulted, you still need to remain nonviolent. It's very tough, actually, Amanda, to talk about this because it's such a violation. It's such a cruelty, so much violence that the soldiers, the unit that intercepts missions of the flotilla, especially unit S13, they have been committing massacres in Gaza for so long, and they killed 10 of our participants 15 years ago. Yes. So they're used to commit these crimes. And the reason why they didn't do on the AmandaLand, the AmandaLand, is not because they didn't want. It's just that because the mission was too big for them to pay these political costs. So the same missions that they would board the boat and assault people, deny food, deny water, deny the use of toilets, they would come on our mission and say, do you want food? Do you want water? Because we got too big for them to try to pull that up. So remember, we had 37 boats trying to get to Gaza. All the other missions, they would say, they are Hamas terrorists bringing weapons to attack Israel. And this mission got so big that they could not pull that up. But they would say that Greta was bringing weapons to attack
right.
with the frog hat. So they could not say that. So they changed the discourse. They said, instead of saying Hamas terrorists bring weapons to attack Israel, they said, a selfie boat. They're doing this to show off. They had to change.
Yes, I did see that. I did see the selfie boat.
So that, to be honest, we want to put them in this kind of controversy that they cannot pay the political price of killing all of us. But we cannot stop for that. So we need to go anyway.
So people are asking, is it too late to join? I'm assuming yes. But how can folks be a part of helping to increase this visibility, which increases your safety?
That's amazing, Amanda. Actually, it's not too late to join because this time is a different type of mission. We still have the registrations open until the 16th, until this Saturday. You should go to our website and people can register there. But also, we have a situation that this time we are not counting only on the boats and political pressure online. We are counting that since the moment is so decisive, when we see the reports on the ground, we're in contact with so many people in Gaza, Amanda, so you know very well how dire is the situation.
Yeah.
We know that this chance is very decisive. So we're willing to do political actions at the same time on the countries, on the streets where we are on the boat. So we're planning encampments, demonstrations every single day because we need to increase our chances. We don't know what's going to be left of Gaza if we wait one more month to have another mission. So we are going all in right this time. So we are inviting everyone to join the mission, not only on boats, but also on the mobilization. Because the idea that we dream about this is that not only we open this humanitarian corridor, but also that this creates an international, this mass movement that could call for global days of action, that could mobilize the energy of so many people. I'm sure you have hundreds of thousands of people that follow your platforms that say, I want to do something, but they don't know what. So we need to have a way for people to channel their energy. So it's our duty as well to create these platforms, these structures. That's what we're trying to do. So please join, please, everyone, not only follow us, but join us this time.
Well, there y'all have it. For those of you who are like, what can I do? Here is a suggestion. Thank you so much, Thiago. We are sending all of our love, all of our covering over you all, and we are going to do our best to continue to support the Global Flotilla. And hopefully, again, there won't have to be a 39th flotilla, because this is what, 38?
Yes. 38.
This is 38. So you all, of course, are brave, and more so than brave, I think what I appreciate is just the necessity to continue demonstrating what it is to be a humanitarian that actually understands that it's not just your own safety, it's not just Brazil's safety, but it's the actual earth that we are on that has to be considered. Everybody is connected. All of our struggles are connected, and therefore liberation has to be collective.
That's it, Amanda. Thank you so much for having me here. Yeah, I love your work, and thank you for your community for greeting me so well here. Thank you so much.
Yes, and everybody thinks you're very handsome, so just know that. And shout out to your wife. Have a good one, Thiago.
Have a good day.
Be safe travels. I had to let him know, y'all, because everybody's like, oh my God, look at Thiago's face. These are so funny. Oh my gosh, I always feel so honored that folks want to come in, talk to us about the incredible work that they're doing. And the fact that he's leaving tomorrow and found time to come on and talk with us today, just really incredible, and just really honored to have Thiago. So make sure that you guys go to globalsumudflotilla.com. globalsumudflotilla.org. I just want to say, there's just a lot of fineness associated with being pro-Palestinian. I just feel like there's just a genuine fineness, and that's across all genders, right? It's like the glow of being just a good person. Am I right? Am I right?